Good afternoon, everybody. Today is December the 17th. I think that's right. It's Tuesday, 2024. And I'm out here getting ready to start this project of putting on my alternate air door. I've been flying my airplane for 10 years, and without an alternate air source, that's the project I'm going to start today. But I have to preface that with sad news. First part of last week, one of our fellow pilots out here at the Foley Airport crashed a gyrocopter just on the runway out here and lost his life. So to my friend, may you rest in peace, and to the family, certainly our prayers. You know, when things like that happen, it makes you think. The airplanes are what bring us together, but it's definitely the fellowship and the friendship of fellow pilots and aviators with a common denominator of just the love of aviation and anything that flies that we all cherish so much. So be careful out there, and show you the job that we're up against here. Here's the bottom of the air intake. As you can see, I've got to get this thing set up there and clocked in such a way that the cable will be in a position to open that door like so in the case of an obstruction of airflow coming in this way. You can see the filter in there. I've got to make sure that this is in between the, inside the filter. This is the carburetor heat right here. I'd really like to just enlarge that hole right there. That means I got to remove this to drill that out. But I think the next thing I need to do is to, let's move to the inside. You can see where those other cables come through right up there. I really think I need to remove at least that little panel right there where those cables come through. Maybe that'll give me enough access and I can see what I need to do. So let's get that off. Well, I got that little deal off, and when I did, I discovered I got a pretty good little fuel leak right there at that bottom connector going into the fuel pump. I run my finger under it and it's pretty wet, so I'm glad I got down in there to do this. Anyway, I'll get that tightened up here shortly. But I've decided the best thing I can do is to come through that hole where that carburetor heat comes through there on the bottom right, and then fish it on up, right there with those lines coming on up to where I'll mount the knob on the panel. I've had to undo the cable from everything. So let's get this cable off. All right, when you get into these projects, you never know what you're going to run into. This is the carburetor heat right here. When I turn the carburetor heat on in flight, it opens that pulls that back right there, like this. And then I'm sucking heat from these exhaust pipes right here. I really plan to also make a shroud or something to bring that heat down a little closer. But anyway, I could not move this cable, this carb heat cable, from the inside I mean, it wasn't doing anything but just bowing back and forth. So I had to take the whole cable off. And when I pulled this inner cannula or inner wire out of the outside, from about here down, this wire here was just covered with like tar. And I mean, it was just, it almost wouldn't move in the cable inside there at all, even being completely unhooked from everything and out of the plane. So I cleaned it off with some avgas, and I sucked several ounces of avgas from the other end coming this way, so I wouldn't suck that tar looking stuff through the cable. I sucked it from, put the shop back on this end and sucked several ounces of avgas and got it all cleaned out, and now easy peasy. I can do it from out here. And from inside the plane, same thing, if I can reach it. Carb heat out. I mean, carb heat on, carb heat off. But look at that, we shut it off. Let me get this light. You can see it seals up pretty good right there. Anyway, so now back to the alternate air source. I've got it laid out, and hopefully we will get this hole cut. It's kind of a, turn around there. You can see I kind of marked it out, scratched it out a little bit. So all right, let's get this hole cut. Break my wrist here. I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of sanding anyway. Alrighty. As you can see, this is going to, well, it just about fits just like that. I do have to enlarge it a little bit because of the radius on this. So, all right, back to work. All right. I'll tell you something. These projects can kick your butt sometimes. This little deal right here and getting it figured out about how to get it installed, which come out pretty good. There was a lot to figure out. It wasn't as just simple as I thought it was going to be, as cutting a hole and then riveting the plate to the bottom there. But I think I've got the bugs worked out of it. This here will come up right here, and the wire going to the cockpit will go up in here, and then that'll be tightened down, and that'll hold the wire really good. But it opens up like this, and this is the, right here is the pull line. The cable will come in right here, and so, and hopefully that'll keep the engine running in the event of an obstruction to the intake up that way. Of course, you'll have to remove the canopy to get this thing shut again. So what I'll do is every time I have the canopy open, the canopy off, I'll check the function, make sure it's working good, then close it again. But if I have to open it in flight, it's open till you land, and remove the canopy to shut it again. So it's definitely an emergency kind of thing only. And the good thing about it is you can see here where the filter sits. If a bird or something comes in, or anything, piece of plastic or whatever, and blocks this filter, this is inside the filter. So this will be unfiltered air getting into the carburetor. But at least I won't be making any off airport landings in the event of an airway obstruction. All right. Here we are again, after trial fitness on the plane and figuring out where the cable's coming in. Required a little further modification. And put this little bracket on, because when this is open, I had to have a place to secure the cable right there. So that's what that's for. But one thing that I had forgot about is there's going to be a bolt sitting right there, and there's a bolt sitting right there. This one's not a problem, as you can see, plenty of clearance. But this one here, it hits, so that's as far as I'll be able to open it. So I cut a little groove in there to open it as far as I could without compromising it when it's closed, and shaved a little bit off the radius right there just to give it a little more flow when it's open as far as it can go. So now I need to get this thing fitted back on the plane. Got the airbox put back on, and went ahead and cleaned the filter, the air filter, while I was in there. Looks good. You can see up in the intake, air intake right there. Got the carb heat all hooked up. And here's what we've done on the bottom. But there's the carburetor intake right there. So, all right, you can see the bottom there. Everything looks pretty good. That's fully closed position. I'm going to go into the cockpit. I'm going to go into the cockpit and open it up. The only thing that's a pain in the butt is adjusting the cable. I'm going to have to come up with a little different something or other here. So I'll just think about that, sleep on it, maybe get an idea. You know, I thought this was going to be a little 2-day quick project that wouldn't take long, and I have to say that I was definitely wrong about that. This is the 3rd day. Been out here most of the day. And that's the way most things are on an airplane. You think something's going to be simple, and I'm going to tell you something. If it's past tearing up a tire, it's not going to be simple. Right. Good afternoon, everybody. I had to end up taking this part off of the alternate air door, because of the way I had it designed. Those screws right there were right up against the bottom of the airbox. And in order to get the cable, you know, the right throw on the thing, it was just a mother bear. So I made some changes, took that off and made one out of angle iron so that those 2 screws would be vertical up and down. And all I got to do is come at it from each side rather than trying to figure out a way to get a screwdriver above that so I could tighten and loosen those nuts. Anyway, so here's what I did. Hope you can see that. You can see the angle iron right there, and you see how I got the So I got access to each side. You know, the screw heads on this side and the nuts on the other. So let's give it a try. All right, fully closed to alternate air open. That's pretty much full open right there. And then to shut it, all I got to do is remove the cowling and shut it back. And it's fully closed when this latch right here, that little catch is up against that. Just like that. Ready to go again. Let's do it one more time. Looking at it from the other side. All right. Here we go. Fully closed. And that's fully open. And that looks like it is indeed fully open. All right. One more thing before I close this video off is you guys that are familiar with Vans aircraft know or have noticed perhaps that that's not a standard Vans aircraft airbox. But there's the standard Vans airbox. And the reason that when I built this plane 12 years ago, the reason I did not put the standard airbox on is because a couple of guys on Vans Air Force surprisingly pulled their cowls and the airbox was all cracked up and laying, you know, I mean, it wasn't like falling out of the plane or nothing, but it was, you know, that engine takes a beating. Not to mention there's lots of vibration. So when I built, I used the top part and I added this, and so I've got an aluminum airbox and I've been flying with it for 12 years and it's working great. So now to get all this cleaned up and closed up, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Appreciate a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching.